All right, let's go ahead and get started. As I just mentioned, my name is Kelly Barnes, and I am one of the members at large on the New Practitioner Advisory Committee. And I am excited to welcome everyone tonight to the APhA New Practitioner Chapter Mentor Program webinar. Tonight we are going to hear from a couple of our outstanding new practitioner mentors, Veronica and Tori, about their involvement currently as new practitioner mentors, and then also from one of our outstanding student pharmacists, Erin, who has been instrumental in getting her new practitioner mentor involved with her chapter at UNC. One thing I do want to mention as we get started is that we would like to welcome as many questions as possible from each of you. So we encourage you to type those questions in on the panel on the right side of your screen as early as you can, and then we will answer those as we go through the webinar tonight or at the end of the webinar tonight. Keith, I'm having a little bit of trouble advancing the slides. Perfect. So before we hear from our speakers, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about the New Practitioner Mentor Program. The first thing that I want to point out is that there are very few requirements to being a new practitioner mentor. So basically, in order to be a new practitioner mentor, you just have to be an APhA member that has graduated in the last 5 years. You have to not currently be an ASP chapter advisor, and you have to have a strong desire to work with our student pharmacists that are the future of our profession. New practitioner mentors play a pretty important resource to our APhA-ASP chapters. They provide advice to our students about school, about rotations, careers, life balance, and many other things. They support our chapter leaders and members with patient care projects, policy and advocacy initiatives, general body meetings, fundraising, and other activities. And they get involved in many, many other ways as well. I'm sure we're going to hear about some of the really neat things that the new practitioner mentors on the webinar are doing tonight. And I know that every new practitioner mentor that I talk to truly enjoys working side by side with the student pharmacist leaders and members. So we are going to first start off with a poll question. So our question tonight, we want to try to get an idea of how new practitioner mentors are involved. So we are going to open this up for everyone, and the question is, what types of activities has your new practitioner mentor participated in? So is that A, patient care projects, B, leadership retreats, C, local patient counseling competition, or D, more than one of the above? So we'll give everyone around 10 seconds to answer the question, and then we will look at the results. All right, 5 more seconds. Okay, polling closed. So it looks like new practitioner mentors are getting involved in many different ways, including the patient care process, the retreats, and the patient counseling competition. And I think we're going to hear about other unique and innovative ways tonight as well. Because we've seen such a large benefit from the new practitioner mentors and what they can bring to the APhA-ASP chapters, our goal this year as a new practitioner advisory committee is to ensure that every APhA-ASP chapter has at least one new practitioner mentor. Many of our chapters around the country have a new practitioner mentor, but we want to make sure that every single chapter has one this year. We also want to float a new idea out to the APhA-ASP chapters. There is no rule banning chapters from having more than one new practitioner mentor. So with that being said, we'd love to encourage chapters who already have a new practitioner mentor to consider forming relationships with more than one new practitioner mentor. A great way to identify new practitioner mentors is to think about inviting new practitioners from diverse practice settings to offer different perspectives to your chapter. We also encourage you to continue brainstorming unique ways for your new practitioner mentor to get involved with your chapter, and I think you're going to hear a lot about that tonight. So with that being said, I'd like to turn the webinar over to Veronica Vernon, who is a new practitioner mentor for the APhA-ASP chapter at Butler University.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to talk to you about my experiences as a new practitioner mentor at Butler University, where I've currently served as a mentor for the past 3 years. It's been quite an exciting experience, but it has definitely been filled with some challenges and obstacles. My hope is to share with you my experience so that you can take what I have learned and apply it with your chapters when you're interacting with your new practitioner mentors. And for those of you who are new practitioner mentors on the call, hopefully you'll be able to learn from my lessons. I'm a 2011 graduate of Purdue University College of Pharmacy in Indiana. I completed a PGY-1 pharmacy residency at the Raudebusch VA in Indianapolis, Indiana, followed by a PGY-2 in ambulatory care and education, which was affiliated with the Indianapolis VA and Butler University. I currently serve as a clinical pharmacy specialist in women's health, primary care, and endocrinology at the Indianapolis VA. And I'm also your current vice chair for the New Practitioner Advisory Committee. I knew when I finished with my degree at Purdue, I wanted to stay involved with an APhA. I loved my time in APhA-ASP. It really motivated me to be an advocate for the profession and stay passionate and involved. Becoming a new practitioner mentor was sort of a no-brainer for me. I was extremely motivated to be involved. That motivation started to wane a little bit when I discovered that my emails were going unanswered to some of the chapter leaders at my chapter. I was very confused and frustrated as how to connect with them. I was given all of their contact information, but you know how summers can go in the start of the semester. Things can get kind of busy, emails get lost, get shuffled around, and I wasn't sure how to exactly make these connections. I wasn't a faculty member at the college. I didn't know who was who. I'd never met the chapter advisor before, any of the student leaders, and I wasn't an alumna, so I couldn't contact the dean or the associate dean in order to get an in with the chapter. As I mentioned before, I did have some challenges communicating with the chapter leaders and advisor. For me, it was challenging just to find out when I could attend a meeting, when I could go to the first chapter meeting. I had signed up the summer after I graduated, and it wasn't until November that I actually was able to hunt down the chapter president and go to my first meeting as a new practitioner mentor. So I had all this motivation, but nowhere to put it. One thing that I had to learn about myself was I wanted to share all of my great experiences with APhA-ASP from serving on the National Executive Committee and coming from a very active chapter at Purdue with the students at Butler. And I had to take a step back. Butler and Purdue are very different schools, and they're each special and unique in their own way. I came from a Big Ten university. There was a lot going on campus. And now I was serving as a mentor at a small, predominantly liberal arts college in urban Indianapolis. So I had to learn to balance my experiences and what I wanted to do with the chapter and what I think the chapter would most benefit from with what the chapter actually needed and required of me. So I had to do some bit of a recon mission with the chapter to learn where my skills and my passion could best be utilized to help the chapter grow and to be the best resource for them as possible. One tool that I found especially useful for me when learning how to mentor was the APhA New Practitioner Network New Practitioner Mentor Toolkit. This is the mentor edition that I have on the slide. There's also a chapter edition that is great for all of you chapter leaders to look through and go over with your mentor. It's especially helpful if you have a mentor who maybe wasn't involved within APhA-ASP as a student, goes over patient care projects, legislative topics, ways and ideas to get a new practitioner mentor involved. It was something that I was able to share with the chapter executive committee when they were transitioning at the end of my first year as a mentor, second year as a mentor actually, and saying, hey, I'm the new mentor, you're the new leaders of the chapter, here's some ways that I can help you. What do you feel you would benefit most from as a chapter? And so I highly encourage all of you to look at both the mentor edition, give it to your mentor if they don't have it, and then look at the chapter edition as well. This is my timeline of the steps that I took to become a more successful new practitioner mentor, because I was definitely far from perfect. I wanted to come in and just change everything and do what I felt was best. My lessons learned from year one was you really need to understand the lay of the land of the chapter, especially if you were not a graduate of that college or university. Even if you are, I think a trap that you can fall into as a mentor, if you're a mentor where you went to school, is trying to show your experiences and say, well, when I was chapter president or when I was involved in the chapter, this is what we did. Times change, and it's exciting to see what new ideas the students have. This was also a year of getting to know me, getting to know who I was. Who is Veronica Vernon? Who is this pharmacist that's coming to these meetings and we have no idea who she is or what she's about? So just getting to know the students, taking them out for coffee. I had students over at the end of my first year as a mentor for dinner, which they all really appreciated, being college students and not having a home-cooked meal in a while. During year two, I started to develop more relationships. I got to know the chapter president really well. She actually worked at the VA, which was very, very beneficial for me. So during lunch breaks, when she was working as a summer intern, I was able to meet with her and brainstorm on how we could help the chapter grow. And I started driving to campus to meet the advisor and students regularly. So I'm lucky that I get off at 4 p.m. most days, and most advisors and students were still on campus until at least 5. So I was able to meet them after class in order to sit down and do a face-to-face meeting. Getting in touch with the advisor over phone or email was very challenging, as she receives several emails throughout the day from students and other faculty. And so actually finding her in her office before she left for the day or coming in early before she started her day, I found to be very beneficial. During this past year, my third year as a new practitioner mentor, I am helping to plan a chapter executive committee leadership retreat where we're helping transition the current leaders to the new leaders of the chapter. And that's something that I was really passionate about and I felt that I could really be involved with. I also helped write some of the cases for the local patient counseling competition at Butler and served as a judge, which is a really exciting and rewarding experience. And I know the best is yet to come as a new practitioner mentor with Butler. I'm really excited to see what my students are up to and to see them grow. And this is the main reason that I mentor, is we have great experiences to share as new practitioner mentors, and an outsider's perspectives can be extremely beneficial. I was able to objectively look at the chapter, offer some insights when asked, and help offer some guiding points. I learned that Rome was not built in a day. What I mean by that is it takes time. I had all these grand plans that I was going to be this awesome rock star mentor, the students and chapter advisor were just going to love me, and I was going to be such a great help to all of them. But that took time. They needed to build trust with me. I needed to trust them, get to know what they were about before I was able to have an impact as a mentor. And understanding the role of organizations on campus is key. Where I had went to school, APhA-ASP was the largest pharmacy organization on campus. That wasn't the case with Butler. And so learning what the other players were on campus and how we could encourage students to get involved and how I could be more of a help than a hindrance. And these girls are the main reason that I stay involved. It's students like Stephanie and Rachel that make my time as a new practitioner mentor so rewarding. I have seen them grown so much over the past 2 years as APhA-ASP mentors, and this was us at the Summer Leadership Institute this past July. And it's just so exciting to see all of the ideas that they had. They just had their chapter officer meeting last week. I was out of the country on vacation, and they sent me this long email when I returned that I opened up, and it was just so exciting to see what ideas they had and what ideas they had for me to get involved and where they thought I could be the most beneficial. I'm now pleased to turn it over to Tori, who is going to share her experiences, as she is definitely a rock star mentor.
All right, thank you, Veronica. So as stated, my name is Tori Erxleben. I graduated from Drake University in 2011. Went on to do a MTM business residency with PharmD. It's an MTM vendor in a suburb south of Nashville, and I am currently still there. So I am work now with clinical operations of PharmD. So little background about me. I have a little bit different perspective from Veronica because I've had a pretty good relationship with my chapter from the beginning, pretty successful. I admire the way that she had to build that. I don't know if I'd have as much perseverance as she did, so well done on that. But my perspective is a little bit different, just what I've found to be successful, how I think it worked out with my chapter, and then the ways that I kind of feel like I helped it benefit them the most. I'm going to go into some of those details. So let me work on this slide transition 1 second. Okay, so what I have found has been most successful with my nurse practitioner, or sorry, I've been doing a project at work where NP means nurse practitioner. With the new practitioner mentor program has been having a relationship with the advisor of the chapter. One of the things, I was on the APhA-ASP Awards Standing Committee during my time in pharmacy school, and one consistent theme that I noticed through pharmacy organizations, through successful APhA-ASP chapters, was having a strong advisor. If you think about it, the students kind of come and go, but having that rock-steady advisor is what really makes it a chapter successful. So one of the biggest things for me is developing that relationship with the advisor. So in this picture on my right arm is Dr. Sarah Uroza. I met her, it was actually during my P4 year at APhA-ASP chapter meeting. I believe we went over the reports for the Lipscomb chapter, which I at the time knew I was likely accepting a residency there. So I kind of started to build that relationship with her actually at annual meeting to try to get involved. Similar to what Veronica said, I knew I wanted to stay involved in APhA-ASP. I knew I liked interacting with students, their vitality, and everything about that. So I wanted to build that somehow. So really I went through Sarah to try to build that relationship up. Really what's been successful for me is just being there for the organization, going to their meetings, being fun, having a good time with the students, and really getting to know them on a more personal level, and especially with communicating within the organization. My first year, kind of like Veronica said, it was a little bit, well, what do we do with you? What do we kind of need you for? For the second year being with the organization, I actually got put on their email distribution list, and that was extremely helpful. So I definitely recommend if the executive council or the students, the whole chapter has some sort of email list that everybody uses, get on that. It's really helpful. They know that I'm busy, so they don't expect me to respond to everything, but it's really helpful to know what's going on in the chapter. What event are they planning? What fundraiser are they doing? Just helps you stay up to date with what's going on within that chapter, and to sometimes something might come across that I go, oh, I want to be a part of that, or oh, I have a good idea for that. You can kind of just send off a quick note. So it's been really helpful to be involved in that. Also, join any social media efforts that they have. So I think if you follow their Twitter, like them on Facebook, I'm sure if you follow Miley Cyrus on Twitter, you can follow your APhA-ASP Twitter as well. So I highly encourage you to get involved in any social media efforts. We all know social media is a great way to stay up to date with things. So get involved and follow whatever they're doing on social media. And then the biggest thing is to just ask. Just talk to the chapter. How can you benefit them? How can you provide value to them as well? The most successful thing I found was being there when someone cancels. I know as an APhA-ASP leader during pharmacy school, I think we've all encountered this. So I remember this one time I had planned up for months that a speaker from Walmart was coming and on this day and that. And then 2 weeks ahead of time I did the follow-up, you know, we're looking forward to you coming. Oh, by the way, I can't make it. We've all been there, and you get in such a bind and you're just kind of stuck. Well, what do we do now? We have a whole chapter meeting. what I was able to do is this happened at my chapter, my first year of being involved, and they just had me come and do a presentation. So the presentation, it was just how do you get involved in pharmacy school. This is an example of what it looked like. I have a theory that pharmacy school is like Super Mario Brothers. The whole point is to just start and you get to the castle, you save the princess, but along the way you do all these different obstacles and courses. So I related that to pharmacy school and how you get involved and how to do that. And it was, I mean, it was a fun presentation for me to do. It was a fun presentation for the students to hear. They were all able to see me, to understand how I got involved, to get ideas for being involved, and really there wasn't too much research or insight that I needed to provide. It was just really a retelling of what I did. That was one of the most successful things I had, because the EC was so thankful for me being able to step in and do something for them, and then the students, the whole chapter, really got to see who I was and why I might be able to provide them benefit as well. So if there's ever an opportunity, you need to just jump in and go ahead and help out your chapter in whatever way possible. There's a lot of other activities to help out with as well. Patient care projects are obviously a great way to help out. What site are you practicing at? Is there a way that you can incorporate students? Is there a way that you can host a flu clinic at one of your sites maybe? Anything that you can do to help increase their patient care projects, it's going to be great for you to build those interactions with the students and with the APhA-ASP chapter. Also, being able to do CV reviews and interview practice, it's something that now that you're a new practitioner, now that we have that perspective of going through the interview process, going through the CV process, you have now a built-in unique perspective. So you're able to provide the students so much more insight than you were able to before. It's something that you might not realize how valuable that information can be from your new practitioner, but it's definitely something that it's kind of an invaluable amount of advice that they can provide in those areas. One other way that I've found has been really successful with my chapter is attending the executive committee meetings. So here is where you meet the leaders of the chapter. So here is where you meet who's doing what and the people that are making things happen within the organization. This is where the decisions are happening. So this has been really helpful because you start to build those relationships with the students within the chapter, the leaders. You can go to chapter meetings, and I highly encourage that, but if it's a 40 to 100 person meeting, really you're just kind of a face in the crowd. You can kind of sit in the back of the room and watch a presentation with everybody else, but when you're at an executive committee meeting, that's when you can really be a part of the discussions that are happening. I have found that the littlest suggestions I have had made such an impact on my organization. So an example was they're doing an IPSF event for AIDS Awareness Day, and they were going to have a penny war amongst the different classes, you know, put pennies into the jar and we're going to raise money and donate that. And I just simply said, you know, when my chapter did that, we did everything that was copper colored was plus for your class, but then everything that was silver was negative for the other classes. So you got more money by encouraging additional coins and really encouraging that competition and they just were like, oh, that's a great idea. And it's something that even to this day they talk about doing that, and they're like, oh yeah, when we did Tori's idea and the blah blah blah. So it's something that the littlest, tiniest suggestions that you can make can be such a great impact on the organization that it's really funny because it's something that it's so small to you, but it can mean so much to the organization and to the students to kind of really understand what value you're providing them as well. The biggest thing I think with any new practitioner mentor relationship with a chapter, if you're the student, if you're the new practitioner, it's really you need to know what you want to get out of the relationship with each other. So I know for me it was that I wanted to stay involved with students. It's that I wanted to be able to provide some insight. I learned all these things being involved and being an APhA-ASP leader, and I wanted to continue to be able to help with that and think Veronica echoed a very similar message. So I knew that that's what I wanted. I wanted to still attend chapter meetings. I still wanted to be able to help out with some ideas that they had. So that's how I've built my relationship with my chapter, and I think that's how they've start to understand how to utilize me. Maybe it's that you're really passionate about patient care. Maybe it's that you want to start a diabetes awareness program or something. It really, you need to understand what the relationship you want and how you're going to make that happen in order to have a successful relationship. Like with anything, you're going to get out what you put into it. So if you put in a lot of effort, you really try to communicate well, you really try to be there for the organization and be involved, then they're going to realize that, and you will be involved and you will have good communication. So really you just have to know what you want to get out of it, and you'll have a pretty good successful relationship from my experience. And I'll go ahead and pass it to Erin.
I'm going to interrupt.
Thanks, Tori.
Really quick. I just wanted to get on everyone's radar that we do want to answer any questions that you have tonight. So if you have questions in mind, feel free to use the toolbar on the right side of your screen to start typing those in now, so we're ready for them when Erin gets done as well.
All right, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Erin Turingen, and I am currently a final year student pharmacist from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and I currently serve as the vice chair on the Communications Standing Committee. My perspective will be coming from the student view and how to springboard your chapter's needs to individualize your relationship with your mentor, just like Veronica and Tori had mentioned previously. At UNC, we've been really lucky to have close relationships with our new practitioner mentors, so I'm happy to get to share with you some ideas for working with your mentors as a chapter leader and ways to make your relationship with them effective and meaningful. All right. Once you've established, All right. Once you've established who your new practitioner mentor is, it's vital that your chapter president and the mentor set the stage and create a foundation to build from throughout the year. At the beginning of the year, have a one-on-one meeting with your mentor to discuss expectations. Expectations, like Veronica had mentioned, are individual for each chapter, and each mentor also has different strengths. So this meeting should really focus on your mentor getting to know your chapter and you as a chapter leader getting to know your mentor's strengths and interests. This way, both of you can come to a consensus of the types of things that your mentor can help with. Once that foundation is created, and then it's time to start building a relationship between the mentor and the rest of the chapter. So one of the first steps to doing this is to create your communication system, and this has a couple aspects to it. So first, like Tori had mentioned, add your mentor to all the different chapter communications that you have. This can include chapter newsletters, event calendars, and even Blackboard or Sakai sites if they're able to have access to that. This way your mentor can remain informed of your chapter events, can know what's on the horizon, and even be able to reach out if they're available. Secondly, it's important to establish who will be the main contact person to reach out to your mentor for help. It can get pretty overwhelming for the mentor, especially with all the different patient care project leaders individually reaching out to ask to pre-set for an event. Dates may overlap, things like that. So ultimately, there should be one or two contact points to funnel requests so that communication is streamlined and your mentor doesn't get overwhelmed, because it's always important to keep in mind and be respectful of their time as well. Another big step to setting the stage is to introduce your mentor to the chapter. So this includes chapter leaders and the rest of the memberships. So invite your mentor to leadership retreats and chapter meetings at the beginning of the year so that your leaders and members can get to know them. The more you incorporate your mentor into the chapter programming that exists, the stronger your relationship can be. So once the year has set off on a strong foot, what kinds of events can new practitioner mentors help with? Ultimately, like I mentioned, that's individual based on what your chapter needs and your mentor availability. But the next few slides I've got are really aimed to help provide you all with ideas based on what we've been able to do at UNC. There's numerous avenues for mentors to help in the realm of professional development for your members. I had mentioned previously about introducing your members to the leadership, your mentor to the leadership and members. Take this a step further and invite them to be the official speaker at your meetings. New practitioners, as we've seen already with our past two speakers, have a wealth of knowledge to share with us. So tap into that and specifically ask your mentor to speak about a particular topic that fits your needs. At the leadership retreats, ask your mentor to speak about his or her leadership experience while in pharmacy school and how these experiences were valuable to contributing to their transition as a student and practitioner. These stories really resonate with leaders and really empower them to work hard for the organization, but also for their own professional development. Invite your mentor to speak at one of your chapter meetings and provide an overview of APhA-ASP and the New Practitioner Network. Have your mentor help kick off the year by teaching your membership about the value of getting involved and, again, connecting involvement through volunteering at events with postgraduate opportunities. Another way that we started utilizing our mentors the past couple of years is inviting our mentor to help promote the mid-year regional meetings and APhA annual meeting and exposition. Ways they can help promote would be to speak at interest meetings that you have at your chapter, host professional development sessions regarding networking pearls, meeting etiquette, and also even running for regional national leadership positions if they had that experience while they were in school. Another idea is to invite your mentor to speak at to kick off your spring membership drive. At the end of third year, we're all going through big transition towards being practitioners, so it's extremely valuable to get your mentor's perspective and personal experiences, and again, expressing that value of continuing membership in the association once we graduate. This is also a great chance to focus on professionalism during rotations and providing networking skills for finding a job upon graduation. The picture here is a picture of one of our mentors, David Steed, picking the lucky third year to get their dual membership paid for after speaking to our class to kick off our spring membership drive. In addition to professional development, there's huge opportunities for your mentors to help through patient care. One of the first things that comes to mind is asking your mentor to precept an event, such as a health fair, where student pharmacists will be providing direct patient care, like blood pressure screenings. Just remember to keep in mind the communication system that you set in the beginning of who will be the contact person to precept, and again, always being respectful of your mentor's time and availability. Taking a step back from precepting events, you can also invite your mentor to assist with training your chapter members to be involved. This is where mentors can really tailor their expertise and passions to your chapter events. For example, if your mentor is highly involved in, say, diabetes education in their practice, invite them to an Operation Diabetes training session to provide a mini lecture or even just an overview of screening procedures. The next two bullets I have are ways that mentors can be involved at a distance. So say your mentor has more limited availability to physically be present at your school or to precept an event. It's important to consider and brainstorm how your mentor can be involved in ways that they can incorporate into their own schedule. So one opportunity is for, say, when your patient care project leader creates an educational document, whether it be reference documents for volunteers or informational pamphlets that are used to be dispersed to patients, you can send these drafts via email to your mentor and work with them back and forth to make sure that all the information is up to date, that it's all accurate and patient-friendly, and things like that. Another opportunity, like was mentioned before, is with the National Patient Counseling Competition. If you have the capabilities to record the student pharmacist and patient actor encounters, you can simply just send that video to your mentors, and he or she can judge it on their own pace. Another idea that we started last year for an in-person event was actually to host a patient counseling training session close to the start of the competition. That way this can serve to encourage first years who may not have had that much experience with patient counseling and help them to also feel comfortable to participate as well. Once your mentor has gotten to know your chapter and been involved with some of your existing programming, then your mentor can even help to expand opportunities. At UNC this past year, this was the first time that we actually had a new practitioner at our satellite campus, and she was extremely vital in helping create opportunities at the satellite campus. So if you're a new chapter or a new satellite campus, or even just looking for ways to help raise the bar with your new practitioner mentor, there's tons of ways that they can help you. If your mentor was really involved in APhA-ASP as a student pharmacist, have them host an event that creates the foundation for your chapter members and focuses on educating them about the APhA-ASP mission and even the regional and national structure. Mentors who are established in their practice can also help leverage their connections in the community with pharmacies and other organization contacts for your chapters to be able to collaborate with and create new events. If your mentor is particularly eager to help your chapter, then he or she may even create events for you and look for volunteers from your chapter to participate. If this happens, then it's really important that you work with your chapter members to follow through with that in order to keep that relationship with your mentor strong. And then finally, as it was mentioned before, in order to maintain continuous growth of new ideas, invite your mentor to your planning meetings, like your executive meetings. This way, your mentor can serve as a guide to help you through a particular planning process, and they don't even have to be physically present. They could even just join through a conference call or phone. So to summarize, there's numerous ways that your new practitioner or mentor can help your chapter, from professional development to patient care, and then even expanding opportunities. Start off the year by identifying the roles that your mentor can have with your chapter and set expectations from both sides. Work personally with your mentor throughout the year to help them find their niche and specific opportunities to be involved. Brainstorm also with your leaders ways that mentors can be involved both on and off-site, and always be respectful of your mentor's time and availability. Like Veronica and Tori said, the mentor-chapter relationship takes time to develop, so don't be discouraged if your mentor may not be as available or responsive, and take these as opportunities to adapt and find innovative ways to involve them. Maintain consistent communication with your mentor throughout the year and continue to build your relationships with them. At the end of the year, we all want to celebrate our accomplishments, so invite your mentor to these banquets too and thank them for all that they've done for your chapter. I hope these are some ideas that you can all take home with you. Having a strong relationship with our mentors has really helped our chapter to gain unique perspectives and provided us with opportunities to expand what we do. So I hope you all make strong efforts to take advantage of your mentors at your chapters. And with that, I'd like to hand it back to Kelly to talk about how to find a mentor.
Thank you. So now that you guys have heard all the fun and creative ways to get your new practitioner mentor involved in your chapter activities, you're probably wondering how to go about finding a new practitioner mentor. There are multiple ways you can go about doing this. One of the, I'd say, most popular ways to find a new practitioner mentor is to consider asking recent graduates of your program who have stayed in the area. You can also consider asking a resident that's near your institution to be a new practitioner mentor. So as Veronica mentioned, she actually started while she was a resident, and she was in a new institution at Butler, but that ended up being a very great relationship for her to develop. And then you can also consider identifying new practitioners that serve as preceptors for your college or preceptors where you work as an intern. Also remember that your chapter can have more than one mentor, so we're encouraging each chapter to recruit multiple new practitioner mentors in order to try to maximize the breadth of experience that they bring, and also the more hands in the pot, the more that you can accomplish. And then finally, if you need help locating a new practitioner mentor, you can contact Tom English, whose contact information I believe was on the slide before this one, that he also too can help you with finding new practitioners who are very interested in being mentors for local chapters. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Keith who I think will be leading us through the question and answer portion of the webinar, and then going through any other of the last-minute announcements as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. So we received a couple questions throughout the webinar. Just wanted to kind of read those. And anybody can answer this, but probably Veronica and Tori. Is continuity important, or should our chapter seek to have a new mentor each year? Veronica, why don't you jump in first?
I think it is important to have the same mentor each year. I know that sometimes that can't be prevented with job changes. Maybe you have a resident as your mentor, they're finishing up their residency, somebody gets relocated. I just know from my experience with not being very familiar with the students that I didn't really gain much traction with the chapter until year 3. I do think that pulling in another new practitioner mentor and maybe having 2 and pulling in a new person is great, because then you can train the new practitioner mentor. So I'm hopefully adding another new practitioner mentor to Butler University's roster this year, as I realize the end of my new practitioner years is coming closer and closer. And so I found someone that's a few years younger than I am with regards to their schooling, and so they're able to then continue the continuity so Butler doesn't go without a new practitioner mentor.
Great answer. Tori, anything in addition to add there?
No, I would completely agree. It's good to have the same year after year, and I think that it's important for you to establish the new practitioner advisor relationship just for that reason. So,
great.
I agree.
So, Tori, you talked a little bit about some of your favorite events to participate in, the same thing with Veronica. Is there anything else that the both of you truly like to participate in and maybe can offer some guidance to the students who are looking for fun ways to get their NP mentor involved?
I can start. So I think some of the most fun and interesting ways that I've gotten involved is through like just social events. I think Veronica kind of mentioned it too. Have dinners or something, a trivia night or something like that with your chapter. To just, something completely outside of APhA-ASP as well, just to kind of get that relationship and that mentorship and things outside of it as well that I've enjoyed. I've done the patient counseling. I enjoy that. I always try at conferences as well to try to get with my chapter at least a few times to see them in that setting as well and help them to see what I'm doing and understand better with each other. So yeah, I think some social events, things outside of campus, those are a lot of the things that I've enjoyed.
I will completely echo Tori's comments. Anytime that I can get the students off campus and get to learn more about them, who they are, not just who they are in a professional sense, but who they are personally, is always exciting for me, and it helps grow our relationship. I also really enjoy being a former speaker. I really love policy and advocacy, and volunteering at our state legislative day where the students do screenings is really fun. My former chapter, Purdue, had done it for years, and Butler has just recently started attending. And I find it really beneficial because those of us who are new practitioner mentors for each chapter are able to tag team. So we can help precept the patient care aspect where the students do blood pressure screenings, they do blood glucose monitoring, they do cholesterol checks, we do smoking cessation counseling, and really showcase what pharmacists and student pharmacists are capable of. And so it's nice that we can take shifts as new practitioner mentors precepting the event, so I don't have to completely miss a full day of clinic, but I can still be there on site and be engaged.
Great, thank you so much. So this question would be for Veronica. You talked a little bit about your struggles in the beginning of contacting the chapter. How important is it to have a relationship with the chapter advisors? And tell us a little bit about how you built that relationship with those advisors.
That's a great question. Having a relationship with the chapter advisor, I think, is key, as Tori had mentioned. They know all the key players, they're really involved, and everything has to really get the advisor's stamp of approval before things can move forward, like patient care projects or it's the chapter achievement reports that you're helping review, or the local patient counseling competition. For me, the advisor at Butler is very, very busy. She's definitely a super faculty member. She kind of has her hand in a lot of different pots, so to speak. And so for me, going to her office was key in really meeting her where she is. We actually ran on a running trail together near campus, and that was a great time where we could just talk and get outside of campus and get to know her. She's become one of my personal mentors now that has helped mentor me in my personal and professional life, and we formed a really great relationship. But it was able to form that trusting relationship where I was able to ask her, hey, are there some responsibilities that you feel comfortable delegating to me? I want to be more involved with the chapter. I can help edit chapter achievement reports, or I can help talk to students about coming to mid-year regional meeting or the annual meeting. I can help get some of those logistics done. Would you be comfortable with that? And by forming that relationship, she was able to tell me yes or no, and she was also able to get me engaged with some of the chapter leaders who maybe weren't responding to my emails in a timely fashion, because she could go find them. She could look up their class schedule and stalk them outside of their lectures and be like, hey, you really need to respond to that email from Veronica, or arrange a time where we could meet. Since we formed that relationship, I've been able to meet with the students kind of more on my own, more informally, and just be able to run things by her as they come up. So I'm kind of serving as her right hand, so to speak, in some of the operations of the chapter.
Great, thank you so much. We got a couple more questions here that have come in. Tori, as a veteran of the APhA annual meeting as well as mid-year regional meetings, tell us a little bit about the role that mentors can play in kind of preparing the students to attend those meetings.
Yeah, so I think a big part of any students attending meetings is just knowing what to expect. So I think anything that you can do to help students to understand. I know some chapters will have, you only get reimbursement if you attend this, this, and this. Helping your chapter kind of come up with some of those ideas, or helping them explain, you know, what's going to be a benefit. I think one of the best things too is just while you're at the conferences is just sitting with them. So you go, and maybe it's at the policy process, you go sit with them in the crowd, and you're just talking to them while you're going through everything, explaining why this is a big issue, or what's going on, and from your perspective. I think that's really helpful while you're there, but also it's being involved. What are the policies? Discuss them on campus with them before. What do they want to get out of the meeting? What are your biggest recommendations for what they should attend, and everything, and making sure that you've built in those things into your agenda ahead of time to make sure that by the time you get to annual meeting or MRM, it doesn't kind of just fly by. Make sure that you're prepared. I think it's fun too sometimes to just get with them and what's the theme that they're doing for MRM, or be involved in what those fun projects, as well as kind of the policy and the positions, the programming as well.
Great, thank you very much. And one of our last questions is actually for Erin. Tell us a little bit about how you plan to, maybe in the future, if you are interested in being an NP mentor, how do you plan to kind of pay it forward, and how do you really look to reward those new practitioner mentors that have participated in your chapter, or, you know, kind of in your personal development or growth?
Thanks, Keith. For me, just because, you know, I've been so involved with APhA-ASP, I definitely plan to be a mentor wherever I happen to end up. You know, my goal is to hopefully work somewhere that's near a school of pharmacy, and hopefully use the connections that I've made throughout the years going to meetings and things like that to get in contact with someone that I might know at the school that's nearby, and just see how I can help. Again, take all the pearls that we've learned in this webinar about, especially from Veronica, about, you know, ways to get your foot in the door with that. It's definitely part of my plans to be a mentor. In terms of rewarding and celebrating everything that our mentors have done for us, you know, we reach out to them regularly, and luckily for us, a couple of our mentors are in-house, like they work at the School of Pharmacy, so we're able to go to their door and say hi to them and thank them for what they've done. But really, we do a lot of our celebration at the end of each semester. So at the end of the year, we really invite them to our banquets, and they do come, and we'll give them gift cards or thank you cards from the exec boards and things like that, so that they know that their efforts are definitely appreciated.
Great, thank you very much. And that looks like it's it for the questions that we have here. If you have other questions, please feel free to type those in. I'm just going to spend a minute or so here going over the Pharmacists Provide Care campaign. I wouldn't be doing my job and telling the party line if we didn't. But hopefully everybody out there knows about APhA-ASP's campaign to advocate for provider status within the profession. And we've got a lot of different ways for you to do that through that Pharmacist Provides Care website. Up on the website, we now have state-specific infographics. You guys can see the Florida one there that has information on the number of counties that are medically underserved, the number of pharmacists in the state, and information that you can use when you go speak with your legislators, whether that be on the local level, or if you come to Washington, D.C., you can kind of visit up on Capitol Hill there. But there's a lot of great information that you can put on website banners. Have your students sign the commitment card. There's a lot of fun things that you kind of do through that website to get them engaged and sign up. But when you do reach out to policymakers, what we're looking for is, what voters are saying. We've got a lot of great research, that material and information that looks professional that you can leave with them, whether it be, the overview of 4190, what voters are saying, how pharmacists are out there improving patient care. All of those things will help bolster your position when you actually go and speak with legislators. But it's also important to kind of go and tell pharmacist preceptors, the alumni, other new practitioner mentors that are out there, to really kind of go out and contact policymakers to help make a difference. And we're hoping that everybody can sign up online with the Pharmacists Provide Care campaign through pharmacistprovide.care.com and kind of get engaged with social media as well. And those are just some of the areas that we're trying to do some great things related to this. So. It doesn't look like we have any other questions, so I will turn it back to Kelly to close for the evening.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the webinar tonight. I just want to reiterate that we're really excited about the New Practitioner Mentor Program, and you've heard some really awesome things that Veronica and Tori are doing as New Practitioner Mentors, and really awesome ways that Aaron and in the chapter at UNC are incorporating their New Practitioner Mentors into chapter activities. So if at this point your chapter does not have a new practitioner mentor, we've talked a little bit about how you could identify one, and then also you can feel free to contact Tom, who can help you identify new practitioners who are interested in becoming mentors, and feel free to identify more than one new practitioner mentor as well, who can help to provide some of that advice and support to your chapters. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we really appreciate all of the thoughtful questions that you provided as well. So thanks so much. Have a good night.